Ladies, let's be real. One of the biggest frustrations women have in relationships is dealing with a man who won't open up emotionally. You want to connect with him on a deeper level. You want to know his thoughts, his feelings, his fears, but it's like pulling teeth to get him to express himself. And I get it. It can be frustrating. It can feel like he's shutting you out, and that can create distance in the relationship. But before you start assuming he doesn't care or that he's just not emotionally available, you need to understand that most men are not raised or conditioned to express their emotions the way women are. Many men have been taught from an early age that vulnerability is weakness, that showing emotions makes them look soft or less masculine. So when you're asking him to open up, you're actually asking him to go against everything he's been conditioned to believe. And that doesn't happen overnight. But here's the good news: he wants to open up. Deep down, every man desires a space where he can be vulnerable, where he can share his deepest thoughts and feelings without judgment. The key is knowing how to create that space for him, how to make him feel safe enough to let his guard down and trust you with his emotions. Men need a safe and judgment-free space to open up emotionally because for many of them, vulnerability is not something they were raised to embrace. Society often conditions men to suppress their emotions, teaching them that expressing feelings is a sign of weakness rather than strength. As a result, many men struggle with verbalizing their emotions not because they don't have them, but because they have never been given the right environment to express them freely. When a man senses that he is being judged or ridiculed for his emotions, he will instinctively shut down and retreat into himself. This is why creating a safe space is essential if you want him to open up on a deeper level. A safe space does not mean forcing him to talk before he's ready. It means providing an atmosphere where he knows he can share his thoughts without fear of criticism or dismissal. One of the biggest mistakes people make is rushing a man to be emotionally expressive. Just because you are ready for deep emotional conversations does not mean he is, and pushing too hard can make him withdraw even more. Instead, it's about making sure he knows you are open to listening whenever he is ready. This requires patience as emotional trust is built over time through consistent reassurance that his thoughts and feelings are valued. A key factor in making a man feel safe enough to open up is showing that you truly listen. Many people hear, but they do not actually listen. Active listening means being present in the conversation, not interrupting, and not immediately jumping to solutions or judgments. Sometimes he may just need to be heard, not fixed. If he feels like every time he expresses an emotion, it leads to an argument or a lecture, he will stop sharing altogether. He needs to know that when he speaks, his words will be received with understanding rather than critique. Creating a judgment-free space is being mindful of your reactions. If a man takes the risk of opening up about something sensitive and the response he gets is frustration, sarcasm, or dismissal, he will likely regret ever sharing in the first place. The way you respond to his emotions in small moments will determine whether he feels safe enough to share the bigger ones. If he sees that you consistently approach his emotions with patience, kindness, and empathy, he will start to trust that he can be himself without fear. Emotional openness is built on trust, and one of the best ways to encourage a man to open up is by being vulnerable yourself. Many men struggle to express their emotions because they have been conditioned to believe that doing so makes them weak. If he sees that you are comfortable sharing your feelings, struggles, and thoughts with him, it reassures him that emotional expression is normal and safe. When you lead by example, you create an environment where vulnerability is not seen as a burden, but as a pathway to deeper connection. Being vulnerable does not mean oversharing or putting all your emotions on him at once. It means gradually letting him in, revealing your thoughts in a way that invites him to do the same. If you talk about your day, your challenges, or your personal growth without fear, he will begin to feel that he can do the same. This helps dismantle the walls he may have built over time due to past experiences or societal expectations. How you handle his responses. When he does open up, even in small ways, acknowledge and appreciate it. A simple thank you for sharing that with me, or I appreciate you trusting me with this reinforces that he made the right decision in confiding in you. If he shares something deeply personal and is met with judgment, dismissal, or indifference, he will shut down and hesitate to be vulnerable again. Your ability to listen without immediate criticism or problem solving is crucial. If he feels safe enough to express himself without fear of rejection, he will be more willing to continue deepening the emotional connection. Creating a space where he feels emotionally safe is key to getting him to open up. Many men have been conditioned to suppress their emotions, fearing judgment or rejection if they express vulnerability. If he senses that he can trust you with his thoughts and feelings without being criticized, dismissed, or ridiculed, he will be more likely to share what's on his heart. Emotional safety is about more than just words. It's about your tone, your reactions, and your ability to truly listen without making him feel weak or inadequate. One of the most important ways to create this safety is by practicing patience. If he has been guarded for most of his life, it will take time for him to undo those emotional barriers. Pushing him to open up before he's ready can make him withdraw even further. Instead, show him through consistent actions that he can rely on you to be a safe space. When he does share, even if it's something small, acknowledge it in a way that reassures him he's making the right choice by letting you in. It's also crucial to avoid overreacting when he expresses emotions that might be difficult for you to hear. If he admits fears, insecurities, or past experiences that shaped him, your response should be one of understanding rather than immediate problem solving or judgment. Sometimes he just needs to be heard and validated rather than given advice or solutions. By maintaining a calm and accepting presence, you reinforce the idea that his emotions are valued and respected. When he feels safe in your presence, he will naturally begin to open up more, trusting that his emotions will be met with care rather than rejection. One of the most effective ways to encourage emotional openness is by being genuinely interested in his feelings. When you ask questions, focus on creating a space where he can express himself without fear of judgment. Instead of asking surface level questions, dig deeper and show him you care about understanding his emotional landscape. It's important to ask questions that invite him to share more than just a quick response. For example, instead of just asking, "How was your day?" try something like, "What was the best part of your day and what made it stand out to you?" This subtle shift in questioning opens the door for deeper conversations and signals that you are interested in more than just the surface level events of his day. Be mindful of the approach. If you pressure him or ask too many probing questions, it may backfire. The key is to allow him to open up at his own pace. Over time, as he feels safe and heard, he'll begin to share more, and your consistent interest will reinforce that he can trust you with his innermost thoughts. Body language also plays a major role in making him feel comfortable opening up. Your facial expressions, eye contact, and posture all communicate your level of engagement and emotional availability. Leaning in when he speaks or maintaining steady eye contact can make him feel like you are truly present and invested in his feelings. Your nonverbal cues should align with your verbal communication, signaling to him that you're not only physically present, but emotionally attuned to what he is saying. With time, as he recognizes that you truly see and understand him, he will begin to trust you more and share his emotions without hesitation. One of the most effective ways to encourage emotional openness is by offering validation and empathy when he shares his feelings. A lot of men hold back emotionally because they fear their feelings will be dismissed or misunderstood. When he opens up, make sure to acknowledge his feelings, even if you don't fully understand or agree with them. Validating his emotions doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says, but it shows that you recognize and respect his experience. For instance, if he's telling you about a difficult situation at work, instead of immediately offering solutions or trying to fix things, simply listen and reflect back what you're hearing. Phrases like, "That sounds really tough," or "I can understand why you'd feel that way," can go a long way in making him feel heard and supported. The more you show that his emotions matter, the more comfortable he will be in opening up to you. Empathy also involves being patient and non-judgmental. Sometimes men may struggle to express themselves because they've been conditioned to suppress their emotions or avoid vulnerability. By being patient and giving him space to share, you create a safe environment where he feels no rush to have all the answers or to bottle up his emotions. Allowing him to process his thoughts without interruption or pressure can build trust and encourage more emotional sharing in the future. When he sees that you respect his emotional process, he will be more likely to open up even further, knowing he's in a safe and understanding space. Creating a space of emotional safety is essential for encouraging a man to open up. Often, men feel that expressing vulnerability makes them weak or less masculine, especially if they've been conditioned to hide their emotions. The key to changing this mindset is by consistently demonstrating that your relationship is a judgment-free zone. When he feels emotionally safe, he'll feel comfortable enough to lower his defenses and express his true thoughts and feelings. This can begin with showing him that you are non-reactive and open-minded. If he shares something deeply personal, avoid overreacting or judging him. The more you handle his emotions with care and compassion, the more likely he is to feel secure in sharing more with you over time. To build this sense of emotional safety, practice being genuinely present. Put away distractions when you're talking with him. Make eye contact and give him your undivided attention. Let him know that his words and his feelings matter to you. This deep level of attention signals that you're trustworthy and that his emotions won't be dismissed or used against him. You must also be careful not to pressure him into opening up before he's ready. Men often need time to process their emotions, and pushing them to share before they're comfortable can lead to frustration or withdrawal. By fostering an environment where he knows he can speak when he's ready, you'll eventually see him open up more naturally, without the need for force or urgency. Being patient and showing him that you respect his process is a surefire way to deepen the emotional connection in your relationship. Building trust through consistent actions is vital when trying to get a man to open up emotionally. Trust is the foundation that allows vulnerability to flourish, and it's something that takes time to build. If he sees that you are reliable and consistent in your behavior, he will begin to feel more comfortable sharing deeper parts of himself with you. This doesn't mean making grand gestures, but rather showing up for him consistently in everyday moments. When you follow through on your promises, when you show that you care through small acts of kindness, and when you listen attentively without judgment, you create an environment where emotional openness becomes easier for him. A man who feels that you are trustworthy will feel more secure in being vulnerable, knowing that his feelings won't be dismissed or used against him. Building trust is being open yourself. Sharing your own emotions, your fears, and your thoughts can encourage him to do the same. When you're willing to show your own vulnerability, it helps him feel less alone in his own. This mutual exchange fosters emotional closeness and encourages him to open up without fear of rejection. But trust isn't just about actions. It's also about respecting boundaries. If a man shares something with you that he's not ready to talk about fully, don't press him. Give him space to process in his own time. Respecting his emotional pace will make him more likely to open up to you in the future. It's this kind of emotional intelligence and patience that truly fosters deep emotional connection. Getting a man to open up emotionally isn't about forcing him, pressuring him, or demanding deeper conversations. It's about creating a space where he feels safe, where he wants to be vulnerable because he knows he won't be judged or dismissed. When you approach it with patience, understanding, and an open heart, you'll start to see a shift. He'll let his guard down, he'll begin to trust you with his emotions, and the emotional connection you've been longing for will start to grow naturally.